when I was leaving school, when I was like your age and I'm leaving school, we knew that there was no way that we would ever be able to find each other or stay in touch with each other ever again. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have cell phones. You had to have somebody's address and you had to keep in touch with a phone or letters and postcards. But after college, I was on the move, nomadic. I was nomadic for 3 years. For 3 years, I didn't have an address. I lived in a school bus. And so I never thought I would ever see or be in touch with my friends again. And then the internet came along and changed all of that. And that's such a good thing. Thought I'd share my thoughts. So much to say in so little time, I thought I would share what was on my mind. And that's what I wanted to share with you last night, is that quote right there. Yeah, we were talking. Life is a jest of the gods, Merlin liked to claim, and there is no justice. You must learn to laugh or you'll weep yourself to death. Are we chilling yet? Can you guys smell that chicken? What did I tell you about? Did I tell you about the time I kicked drugs 30 years ago? I had my buddy drop me off up in the Rockies at... Oh shit, we're in the wrong screen. There we go. Hey, what's shaking? Check it out. I love YouTube. I need to start streaming on YouTube. I used to stream on Facebook all the time. Dig this.
Caltech's Palomar Observatory is located in the remote wilderness of northeast.
So my buddy Tom, 30 years ago, he dropped me off right here, and we camped at the bottom, at the base of the observatory. Smoked a bunch of weed, had some beers, and we watched the most incredible fucking show of comets and everything else, right? 30 years ago. 31 years ago. And we heard fucking bears.
Led by American astronomer George Ellery Hay.
There was fucking bears and fucking all around her shit, man. There were big fucking beasts all around us and shit. We camped out. But I was addicted. I was addicted to dope. I was banging dope in my arm 30 years ago. It's bad. I had a choice. I was in Venice Beach. And I had a choice, right? I had $20, right? I got really high on Dead Tour, and I'm kicking it in Venice Beach. I had $20, and there was a crossroads in my life. And I looked around me in Venice Beach, and I said, I can end up like these fucking junkies, or I can get the fuck out of here and get clean and straight and live a real life. And so I took that $20 and I got a bus ticket down to Oceanside, San Diego. My buddy Tom picked me up, drove me up to Mount Palomar like I was showing you, and I told him to leave me up there. All right, so we camped out for one night. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, drive me up in the Rockies. So he drove me further, way up in the middle of nowhere. And he dropped me off in the middle of nowhere, way up in the mountains. And I said, he's like, when do you want me to come and get you? I said, I'll call you when I want you to come get me. And so now I had to hike out of the Rockies, way the fuck up in the middle of nowhere. There's no people, nothing up there. And so by the time I hiked out to Santee, it's this tiny little town in the southern Rockies. It's a really cool little town. And by the time I got out of there, I was clean. I wasn't addicted to cocaine or heroin or anything. Yeah, and that's just was disassociation, where you're put in an environment where you cannot get what you are addicted to. And that's what I did. And so that's how I kicked it, and I never looked back. And when I got married a year later, and 3 years later, shit, I was sitting on the White House lawn laying sod. Right on. John was awesome. We used to drop acid, and we'd sit in our dorm room, I think I told you guys this. And there would be about a dozen people in there. And so I'd play a bunch of tunes. And we'd be all tripping and smoking weed. Listen to tunes. People are seeing ducks on the walls, singing Doors tunes. And so I'd get up and I'd light 2 sticks of incense. And sometimes I'd put incense in my fingers and stuff, right? And I'm lighting all this incense and everyone's like, oh yeah, that's nice. And the music's playing, right? Like the Doors or something, Jimi Hendrix. Everyone's high, we're smoking weed. John. And then I turn the lights off. It's pitch black in there, and I have this incense, and I'd start dancing around to the music, and everyone's just fucking minds blown. Yep. I became Cowboy Neil at the wheel on the bus to Never Neverland. That was a long time ago. That was another lifetime ago. Many lifetimes. Awesome. And thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me share my life story. And thank you for spending a little bit of your life and a little bit of mine. Cool beans, Mount Palomar. Yeah, they need some modern footage. Yeah, that's a cool area up there, Lake Henshaw. Yeah, so this is where I was. This is a recent video of the area where I was. So this is where I was. This is where Tom dropped me off. With the backpack, and that's it. This is where he dropped me off. This is where I kicked out. Right? And so I'm making a makeshift fishing pole and shit. And out here in the middle of fucking nowhere, up in these mountains, I come upon a trailer. There's this trailer, right? Right out of a trailer park. And there's this old couple lived in it. I'm just like, wow, that's really fucking out of the ordinary. And this is the it's the Roosevelt Mountains, which is the southern part of the Rocky Mountains. And so we're headed towards Mexico. Yeah, and so these folks made me a sandwich, and we chatted for a while, had some coffee. You know, he's like, is there anything I could do for you or anything? I said, well, I could use a gun. He's like, I don't have a gun. He's like, I ain't got a gun. I said, you got a fishing pole? He's like, I got a fishing pole for you. He goes, I got a bunch of fishing poles. We're at Lake Henshaw. Dude kicks me down a fishing pole. Yeah. Because I wanted a gun. I was gonna go out and shoot a deer and skin it, clean it, cook it, dry it out, smoke it. All I needed was a 45 or even a 38. And then I could get a deer. And I had like dry rations and shit like that, but I wanted to get some. I was out in the middle of nowhere. And so the guy kicks me down a fishing pole, so I went fishing for like a week, hanging out. And I just had a tarp. I had a tarp and a sleeping bag. A tarp, a sleeping bag, and a radio. Yeah, I had like a Swiss Army knife, but I didn't have I didn't have a combat knife, which was bad, really bad. I don't ever go out into the bush. As I got older, I learned a lot of lessons. I would never go out here without a 45. Yeah, or a 357. Something heavy duty, 50 caliber Desert Eagle. Yeah, and the world's a very different place these days. The world's a very much more dangerous place these days. Except for the Old West, that is a pandemic of murder. Ask Billy the Kid. Disco in the Southern Rockies, your ASMR moment of the day. Renyo, what's shaking, man? How you doing? Thanks, Gucci. Rock and roll. What's happening, man? How are you? He's got no audio. Lake Henshaw, right on. Thanks for coming along, Gucci.